Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, my co-host, Mr. Zack Partridge, in the house. What up, man?
What up, Holmes?
Got a special podcast today. Proving Ground Invitational. Are you guys the founders of the Proving Ground Invitational? Carl, Miyo? Carl, you're the founder. Carl Sims, the founder of the Proving Ground Invitational, and Miyo Strong are joining us today to talk about the tournament this Saturday at the Maverick Center. You guys were excited. We're excited to have you guys on here.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys. We appreciate it greatly.
And thanks for having all the girls on so far.
Yes.
They've been amazing. It's been great having them come on and seeing everybody kind of get excited about doing this tournament. It's a great opportunity for Utah Jiu-Jitsu and women's Jiu-Jitsu in Utah.
Yeah, actually, women's Jiu-Jitsu anywhere.
Anywhere, yeah, because they're not all from Utah, right? You guys girls flying in from out of state too, right?
Yeah, and honestly, the purse payout, the way it's structured, it's the best super fight tournament opportunity that I've ever been a part of. And I've competed several times in things like this, and the payout is the biggest.
The whole premise of Proving Grounds has always been equal pay for equal belts. It's not about gender, it's about belts. If you're a black belt, brown belt, purple belt, you get paid the same whether you're a man or a woman. And that's always been my big thing, is equality that way.
Yeah, it's crazy too to see like the history of Proving Grounds, because I was the first female super fight ever, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago. And then the more I got to know Carl, the more I got to understand like the gap in women's jiu-jitsu. It was like, all right, how do we work together to build this up? And Carl has been like 1,000% on board from day one. We've done brackets, we've done super fights. It's been really, really positive growth trajectory.
Well, the best thing that's ever happened to Proving Grounds was Miyo. Honestly, it's like I was doing a lot of this myself, and having Miyo, she's a staple in jiu-jitsu, period, but especially women's jiu-jitsu in Utah. So it's made it fantastic. It's been a fantastic partnership.
Yep.
Is this something? So like, is this something where you guys are planning on? We're doing it at the Maverick Center in a cage. That's a fun nuance and all that. Is Proving Ground like next year going back to like going to a venue with open mats, or is it something that you guys would like to continue at the Maverick Center and pairing it up with a fight card?
Do you want me to take this? Or you, Miyo? Go ahead.
We probably have different answers, but take it.
Yep. So I'll tell you the two things about this. I'm getting older. I've kind of it's been a lot of stress in my life. I run a business as well. So I've been trying to kind of separate Proving Grounds. Kind of the women's side is Miyo Strong, and the men's side I've kind of passed on to Reed Hewlin. And so there will be hopefully both sides. There'll be the venue like we've always had it at Church and State, that those guys there have been absolutely amazing to work with. John McCain, Amir Alam, and the guys that own Church and State, Thomas, and I also, man, my mind, I'm old. But so I'm hoping to do both, to where we can still do it with the women and the men's and in both venues.
Yeah.
Miyo?
Yeah, and my answer is I would love to see like these all-female cards partnered with Cody Bunderson. Everybody knows and loves Cody Bunderson and respects Cody Bunderson, and that's actually why I agreed to take this on, because I'm like Carl, like I am pulled in 50 different directions and do not have time to run Proving Grounds. So I wanted to partner with Cody, one, because I trust him, I love him. And also after being on Cody's fight card myself last year, it's just a rare opportunity for women in combat sports to start merging. And I also feel like with the rise in combat jiu-jitsu, we need to educate the audience. And this is one baby step way to educate the audience into, instead of like all the drunk dudes in affliction shirts yelling, stand him up. Like, they understand like, oh, fuck, he's screwed. He's in a mounted triangle, or he's, they start to understand. And I'm not only drunk dudes in affliction shirts say that.
She's talking about you, Zack. She's talking about you, Zack.
I've never owned an affliction shirt in my life.
You're too young.
No,
I have.
You stop it. Jason's all muscled up with tattoos. So he fits.
Right.
He fits the perfect.
I don't drink,
and I don't drink either. So
I don't drink.
Okay, it's good, but it's just really a great opportunity to start educating the audience as to the beauty and the art of jiu-jitsu, as well as the savagery. I feel like women training hard for something with a female is different than with the man. And it's like when two women go at it, we may love and respect each other and like hug after it, but I'm going to like cross face and put my chin in your eyeball. And I'm going to like be as dirty as possible. Like competing women, I feel like are so savage and fierce. And this will be, a good opportunity for us to showcase our, hobbies. Cause really none of the guys, nobody in the bracket is a professional competitor or a professional coach, right? But our female black belts are all professional jiu-jitsu athletes. So it is, isn't that badass? And we have the first ever. So in Utah, there are only, I want to say 2 black belts that are women. And there's technically 3, but it depends on if you count no-gi belting systems versus like a traditional jiu-jitsu belting system. But there's really only two active black belts in Utah. So we have 4 on our show. This is amazing. 1, Aaron Reese and Nikki Sullivan, they're going to have a super fight. I've trained with both of them. I feel like a white belt who doesn't know what's happening every single time I train with them. They are incredible martial artists. Nikki is coming out of Atos HQ in San Diego, and Erin and her husband Dan own Iron Roots BJJ in Colorado Springs. But Erin got her black belt here in Utah, so I still consider her. I didn't count her in the 2 active black belts, but I still consider her like a huge role model for all of us girls here in Utah that are still training and plugging away, trying to get that down black belt. But she's coming from Colorado Springs. They're going to have a 10-minute sub-only EBI overtime rules match. And then we have Amy Campo from Maury's Zenith Jiu-Jitsu up in... She is honestly the most incredible, most talented jiu-jitsu athlete, man or woman. In my book, she's top 10 man or woman black belts in the state. Now that might piss off a lot of dudes, but they also probably haven't trained with her and they have not competed at that level. Who has ever won ADCC trials as a man in Utah? Nobody.
No one.
Nobody. And to make it even more impressive, Amy is the smallest competitor in that bracket because ADCC only has 2 female weight classes, which is total bullshit. And I think that's going to be changing soon. But her accolades, like, she's phenomenal. Like, it just does not get better than her. In fact, trying to matchmake for her was a nightmare. I mean, absolute nightmare. The top... We don't need it.
No, he don't. We can keep going. Yeah, we're not going to wait for him.
The top of the top, cream of the crop black belts in the country, like everybody said no, or everybody wanted ridiculous amounts of money. And then we did have one woman that I'm excited. I'm going to bring her back at some point to go against Amy. She did accept and she was very excited, but she had seminars already booked back to back that she could not move, but she did try to move them. She wanted a piece of Amy. So we are definitely pushing for that, but we're so grateful that Aislinn took this match. It was actually a teammate of mine, Rajna, who match made that for me. She knows Aislinn from Seattle area. She won the Medusa Combat Jiu-Jitsu tournament. Like, that is badass to me. Like the fact that she and Nikki and Aaron were both in that combat jiu-jitsu tournament. So Aislinn is coming in as the winner of that. And she's super young. Amy's super young. I mean, these girls are like 21, I think. Yeah, so I'm super excited for that matchup too. And our bracket is incredible. Our brackets are incredible.
Yeah, that was my next question. Is talk a little bit about the brackets and the girls that are in the tournaments, because there's 2 brackets, right?
Yeah, we have an under 135 bracket, and that is actually, I'm going to just double check, but I think, 'cause I have the fight posters here. Yeah, see, exactly, Christian. Amy makes everybody feel like a white belt.
Miyo goes over that. Oh, I'm sorry. While Miyo goes over that, I just kind of want to tell you some history in Proving Grounds.
Oh, yes.
We have never had a boring women's match, ever. That's the insane thing about women is honestly they go for it. They don't give two craps. It's always been fire. That's why I'm so excited about the women's brackets and having an all women's show. Is we've never had a boring match. It's been incredible. But carry on, Mio.
Okay, so our 135 under 135 bracket is all local women. So that makes me very, very happy. We have Unified Jiu-Jitsu, Team Link, Cache Valley, One Hit, Gracie Baja, The Front, 10th Planet, all represented. So that makes me really happy because the whole point of this show is to grow women's jiu-jitsu. And then our under 155 bracket, we actually have half from out of state and half local girls. That's going to be an incredible bracket, mainly because I don't really know what to expect from some of these out of state girls. I've rolled with everybody in the under 135 bracket except for Maddie. Oh, actually, and Kelly. Kelly and I have never trained together. So I kind of know where they are in the bracket, but in the under 155 bracket, it's who knows. And we have 4 MMA fighters. So we have 1 MMA fighter in the under 130 bracket, and then we have 4 in the under 155 bracket. So it'll be interesting to see if the cage makes a difference, if the venue makes a difference, right? Like competing, to be a really successful competitor, you have to have mental strength too. Yeah. Right. If you get out there and you freeze or you panic or you don't know how to deal with the pressure of all you, that's definitely, something to toss it in the air. But we have, let's see. Lauren Chittister has MMA fighting experience. Jocelyn Lindo does. Jade McCoy does. And Riley Timmons Martinez does. And actually Lauren Ryan does stand up. Ashley does stand up. Sam does stand up. Steph does stand, like everybody trains both arts. It's just a matter of only 4 of them have actually ever fought in a cage.
Yeah. Carl, I got a question for you on the combat jiu-jitsu match between Samson and Warren. Talk a little bit about how that came together, because those two have actually competed in the Proving Grounds, I believe, 3 years ago already against each other. And now they're doing a combat jiu-jitsu. Tell everybody, talk a little bit about those two and their credentials and what they can expect in that combat jiu-jitsu match that I'm super excited about.
Absolutely. So both of those guys have fought MMA as well as they're accomplished jiu-jitsu practitioners. And so, you guys all know Damon Morgan. I always talk to Damon about jiu-jitsu versus MMA. And I tell Damon all the time that there's a lot of guys that in a pure jiu-jitsu match will beat me or beat someone. But in a combat jiu-jitsu match or a fight, that changes. When you're getting smacked in the face and you roll under for a knee bar or for a heel hook and someone's slapping you in the grill, things change a little bit. So the reason why we're excited for both of these guys have MMA experience. They're both accomplished grapplers. Both of these guys would kick the crap out of me. I wouldn't want to grapple either of these dudes or in a fight. And so it's just going to be an exciting matchup. You guys all know Samson. You guys all know Warren. And so it kind of came together. We were just looking for some combat jiu-jitsu matches. And Samson was a name that we had on in mind. And we reached out to a lot of other jiu-jitsu competitors. And when they heard that it was a combat jiu-jitsu match, people were like, yeah, I'll pass on that. Because, when you're getting smacked in the face, I heard the other day on your podcast when you were talking about training with Samson. Yeah. How'd that feel?
So, hey, full disclosure.
You didn't do it. That's right.
Full disclosure. I do not get in on those rounds. I'm just a little 6-month-old white belt. Like Joel and TJ and those guys, I let those guys handle that. But I can tell you right now, and I've called Zack and told him too. It's no joke. Like
it's different.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, but it's exciting. So so most of this card, this is why I give Miyo so much credit. In the past, I've done 90% of putting things together, matchmaking, etc. I've been 10% involved. So Miyo is actually the one who put all this together. So once again, I know I seem like a bump on a log. It's like, why is Carl even here? I'm going to pass it to Miyo because Miyo actually did so much of this to get this card together.
So Miyo, how did that conversation go with getting this match with Warren? Obviously you guys said you reached out to a bunch of different people. Was Warren? I'm assuming Warren wasn't hesitant. He's just like, I'm taking.
Let's not mention names. Let's not mention names.
I was like,
I'm like, no, Miyo, no.
You don't have to mention the names, but how did that conversation go with Warren? I mean, I'm assuming he was all about it because they've already, and from what I've heard from everybody, was their first match was razor thin and could have went either way.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Warren stepped in last minute at PGI.
Yes.
We had a douchebag who will never be on our show again.
What's his name? What's his name?
I'm not going to say his name, but dropped out. Well, I'm sorry, but as a promoter, if you drop out of the show and you're not like dead with a limb on the side of the road, like I don't for you.
Oh, I know now.
So let me just back that up a little bit, just so understand that with Proving Grounds, we usually have backups and people plan to step in. Twice this has happened to us. One time I actually jumped in and competed in our first Proving Grounds. It sucked. But the second time, this kid just didn't show up. And so I literally called Eddie Morey at the last minute, asked him if Warren would be interested. This was like the night before at weigh-ins. Warren showed up after working all night, cut the weight to make the weight, all in a 24-hour period, and then put a clinic on throughout the tournament. He beat 2 guys in order to get to the finals against Samson. And so this is a rematch, in essence, but with combat. So from there, I'll let Miyo go, but that was the just... I'm a little more diplomatic than my little sister here, so.
Yes, and I appreciate that. It's a good balance. But so from that night, like I had no idea who Warren was, but then watching him and what he did to find success that day, man, I was like, mad respect, whatever I can do to support you. And I've been talking to Eddie Morey a lot because Amy is a really hard person to find a match for. So I'd get somebody that's interested, I'd reach out to him, I'd get, you know what I mean, all this back and forth with Eddie. And I also told him, I was like, hey, man, we have just had, I can't believe it, that everybody's scared of Samson and combat jiu-jitsu. Like, it is the weirdest thing to me. And he's like, Warren will take it. I'm like, really? He's like, yep, Warren will take it. I was like, done. So it was actually Eddie's idea. I've never even spoken to Warren.
Yeah,
he's a great kid.
He's a pretty quiet kid from what I've gathered of him.
Yeah. A quiet savage.
Yeah. He's
He's very good on the ground. Like when calling his MMA fights, like that's the only thing I can say. Like whoever he's fighting, I'm like, you don't want it to go to a ground. You don't want it.
No.
I've talked to a couple people that he's fought in a cage, and that he's finished with a triangle, and they have both said, they've rolled with like high level guys, and they said I've never felt anything like his triangle in my life.
Yeah. Wow. So Samson, take note.
Yeah, it was triangle.
Yeah. I'm excited. This is it's gonna be a great night. Go ahead, Zach.
Sorry, I had a little emergency I had to take care of. I hope you didn't say it. So in the girls brackets, I don't know if you can say this or whatever. I know you don't want to say like who you think's gonna win, obviously, because anything can happen. Who do you think could be a dark horse that maybe people don't know, or who people should keep an eye on if they don't know any of these girls? Like me, I don't know most of these girls. I haven't seen really any of them compete. Who should I keep an eye on that stands out?
That's a good question.
Yeah, no. So I'll be honest with you, because I saw her at Worlds compete. Is Marisa is a white belt. Well, she's just got her blue belt, correct?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, she's got her blue belt. She's a savage, and if you sleep on that girl, she's gonna rip your foot off. And so
she trains 6 days a week, twice a day. Like
that's to me one of those dark horses in the under 135 bracket.
Cool. Yeah. And I would say too, Steph might be a dark horse in the 155 bracket because she hasn't competed since she's a white belt, and and she's just not really out there. I've never trained with Kelly or Maddie, so those two are unknowns for me in the under 35 bracket, and they're also our 2 smallest. Well, no, we have 3 small women that step up.
As somebody that trains with Maddie,
and I train with Kelly.
I believe in Maddie as a dark horse. Let's just say that.
Yeah, for sure. Like you just never know, and that's the beauty of sub only. right? It's like, how good are you at getting out of subs? Are you as good at attacking as you are defending? Like, I don't know. There's so many unknowns and who's coming off an injury. And honestly, we have women in their late 40s in this bracket.
Yeah.
And we have girls that are 17. So it's age, fitness level, mental strength. Like there's so much that goes into it. It's really going to be an exciting afternoon of fights, of matches.
So, Miyo, I want you to touch on something it's obviously jiu-jitsu is new for me as of this year. I've been consistently training finally, but talk a little bit about if you're somebody that's new to this, especially the females, since we're focusing on the females, like give a little bit of a background on how you got started in jiu-jitsu, so that maybe the first time person is looking at this thinking, oh man, maybe I can do this, and kind of give them a little bit of insight on what you went through to get started in your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm 44, so I'm mid 40s. Like I would say it's never too late. And listening to the previous podcast where you've had our athletes on, every single person said they were scared for literally like the first 3 months of training. Every single female, and you too. I'm glad you admit it.
No, I'm not. Yeah,
oh yeah, right here,
100%.
Right. Yeah. And I think understanding that everybody is feeling that way, and it's not just you, and it's not just like this weird, I have a bubble and then people are now touching me. And it's, as women, I feel like we don't grow up necessarily, especially if we don't have brothers, we don't grow up roughhousing. I think that's changing a little bit. Like my daughters and I go at it. So it's a little different. And when they're both bigger than me, so I'm like, like I have to work, and I will eye gouge those suckers if I need to.
Oh my gosh.
But we don't grow up roughhousing. We don't grow up like with a strong physicality like little boys do, I feel like. And so it can be extra intimidating. And then also to go into a male dominated environment is very intimidating. So I would say if you're thinking about starting jiu-jitsu, don't sign a contract anywhere. Go train at a handful of gyms, get the vibe of the gym, talk to the professor, talk to the other women at the gym, make sure there are upper belts, make sure there are women in positions of power, make sure that you feel respected and heard, and be able to say no to training with somebody if you don't want to. And we have an unspoken rule at Unified where all the women ask the guys to train. And I know this is an unspoken rule with Carl.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I never ask a woman to train. I will always let a woman ask me to train first, because I'm going to elaborate, and I cut you off here, Miyo.
Please do.
Everything Miyo said also applies to men. I had fought mixed martial arts before I started jiu-jitsu. And so when I started jiu-jitsu, I was still nervous after I had fought, because it is a whole different thing. And I'm not a person that's real touchy-feely. And so it's a weird vibe, and I'm a small guy. So when you add all that together, I probably relate to women a little bit because of those fears. I'm, 5'7", 170 pounds, and there's all those factors. So everything Miyo's saying, I concur. It's exactly how I feel. But and as guys out there, some advice to guys: don't be creeper dude that goes up to a girl that comes to the gym and says, "Hey, do you want to roll?" Dude, you don't know what it's like being a woman walking into a gym. Let that lady ask you to roll, because it's a very, as Miyo would say, I hate to say, or I don't hate to say it, I love to say this. Women love to train with me, one, because I'm not a dick. I don't just go Hulk mode on them. And I will, when I roll with Miyo is better than me. She beats me technically. So I roll technically with Miyo or with other women. And so there's some, and this is a whole nother podcast, but there's some real good words of wisdom you can use training with a woman and as a woman training. And don't be afraid to say, I don't want to roll. I do it. If I see Zack, a big, what are you, a white belt now, Zack? Is it? No, I'm kidding.
Eight stripe white belt.
But no, exactly. But no, I'm serious. I see a young stud like Zack, because I know Zack, I'll roll with Zack. But like when I see a young purple belt, I'm a black belt. I see a young purple belt, Jack, that's like, hey, you want to roll, dude? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm cool. So it applies to women and men. Is basically what I'm getting to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the only difference, not to correct you, but
Yeah.
it is a male-dominated environment.
Right.
Well, for
So
Right.
that
sure.
adds another level of stress and anxiety to women.
Yeah, sure.
But our community is growing. I think Unified has a team of over 50 women that train.
Oh yeah, I've heard you guys
Insane.
have got.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. Like Jason, your wife is totally into it because she has training partners that she trusts and she feels safe with, and she feels confident and safe. I think those are the two biggest things. And I've got to add in the other reason women love to train with Carl is because Carl takes hygiene to the next level. He always smells good. He's always got clean gear on. When he sweats, he doesn't purposely put it in your eyeballs or your mouth. Like that shit matters to me anyway. And most girls really, they love to train with Carl for lots of reasons.
But all that aside, it is tough for women. But the thing that I'm really encouraged about here in Utah, like Miyo said, Unified has a big women's group. Fusion Academy down in St. George, Jen and Ace Reese, they have like 100+ women.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the things that I'm so encouraged. I've had my daughters train a little bit. It's really cool, and that's what the whole promotion about the women in jiu-jitsu. I'm not like what do you call it? Like a social justice warrior. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm all cool, man. The more women that we can get on the mat to train, the better. Because it's about self-defense, having that confidence. It gives you martial arts just gives you like a superpower. It's amazing. So
a sense of empowerment and sense of finding your voice, and it's really great for fitness. I mean, it's so many things go with the mental health aspect of it, the physical aspect of it. So if you're even thinking about it, reach out to one of the four of us. We would be happy to, train with you, meet you at a gym. In fact, like I had a girl reach out to me. I used to train with her like 5 or 6 years ago. She's just coming back from an injury. She's like, hey, I just need some safe upper belt training partners. Where can I go? I'm like, meet me at Unified at noon. And then all of a sudden I had 6 upper belt women. I'm like, hey, she's injured. Watch this, watch this, watch this. And she had an amazing time. So, and she's not even a member of Unified. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. One big thing that I do have to hit on before we run is First Colony Mortgage. The owners, Aaron, Corey Shelley, they are our main sponsor. So they are our only financial flagship sponsor that has made this possible. Like I cannot even tell you how much I appreciate and how grateful I am for this business who doesn't even know what jiu-jitsu is. Right.
Really? And they're amazing people. Amazing people.
Yeah, they're a huge support of Smart Defense. And so we got talking about women in jiu-jitsu and what I'm trying to do. And they were like, how can we help? I'm like, well, actually, and they signed the check and they're making it possible. So I'm very, very grateful to First Colony Mortgage. If you guys can go out, just follow them on social media, give them support, and really, really, really give them the, credit that's due. And also I got to shout out to Clint. This is his logo. It's I Am Radness on Instagram. He designed our women's tank for this event. And literally I was like, hey, I need it like in 48 hours. Can you do it? And this is the theme I want. This is the, everything that we're going for. It is a badass, gorgeous design. He's a tattoo artist. So hit him up if you guys need any work done. We've been really, really, really grateful for him as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this Saturday, June 25th at the Maverick Center, Proving Ground Invitational and Fierce Fighting Championship 20. Don't miss it. You can go to our website, fiercefightingchampionship.com, and purchase your tickets. Be sure to support your favorite fighter by clicking on their picture. Carl, Miyo, thank you very much for joining us and shedding a little bit of light on this tournament.
Doors open. Doors open. Hey, shush. Doors open at 2:45. The show starts at 3:15. Yes. Your ticket will get you access to everything. So please come right to support the first bracket that goes at 3:15. We really appreciate that.
And if you can't make it, you can purchase the pay-per-view on our website as well. So if you're from out of state listening to this and you're not being able to make it, be sure to click on that pay-per-view and watch then. You'll be able to watch the tournament and the fights from the comfort of your own home if you're out of state.
Yep.
If you're in state, you got to come.
Yeah.
All right, Carl, Neil, thank you guys very, very much for joining us. We'll see you guys on Saturday.
Okay.
We
Bye, guys.
out.